So good morning then, it's just gone 9 o'clock and we've arrived and done a lap or two of Bramble Mere. So you'll catch me here for the next 48 hours. Never been to the fishery before, but it has been one that's been on my bucket list for quite a while. So it's the first weekend in February. The gear's on the barrow, everyone's already gone and dropped into their spots that they've chosen for the draw, and I'm ready to rock and roll now. I'm really excited about the next 48 hours. It's going to be a nippy one, but to be quite honest, it's been nippy for like I don't know how long now. So without further ado, let's get these barrow wheels rolling and let's get round to my chosen swim, and I'll talk you through just what I'm going to do over the weekend. Bait, rigs, absolutely everything. So yeah, let's get going. Now it is down on the nature reserve bank. There's what 3 or 4 swims down on this bank, and no one else has joined me down here yet. There is one more to our party that turns up a little bit later this morning, so depending on where he goes, I might be down on this bank on my own. But the wind, out of breath pushing that barrow around, the wind is trickling down here. It's not the warmest of winds, but I just like the look of this bank. After my first choice swim had been chosen, I did think about this back bank. The owner was telling us around sort of 6 to 8 wraps out, there is a sort of like a silk gully that runs through the front of these swims. Now what I'm going to do before I get anything else set up is I'm just going to get a rod with a lead on it. Just have a quick little flick around, get the sticks out, just quickly wrap it up, and just have a little lead around really, and just see what I've got in front of me. Now obviously it gives me a lot of access to a lot of water. Like I say, at the moment there is no one else down here with me, so you know, I can maybe move a rod down into the next swim, or even move, you know, going on what I see over the next 48 hours. But yeah, for now, let's get a rod out, let's have a little lead around, see what we can feel. It's not that weedy, the water is treated with dye. I think if there is weed, the owner mentioned that it's probably about a foot or so off the bottom, so we'll have a little lead around anyway and a little feel, see what we've got in front of us, and then look about go and get some rods set up. Right, so I just spent a good half hour, 45 minutes having a good lead around, and to say I'm happy with my spots is an understatement. Each rod has got its own spot, varying ranges, and they all go down with an absolute thud, which is a lot less than I found in other places. So I'm over the moon. I managed to find 3 really clean spots. Now excuse the wind because it is picking up a bit, so it's not the warmest, but as they say, fortune favours the brave. So I'm going to swing this camera around and just show you the spots that I'm fishing, the spots that I found, and what wrap distances they are. Obviously just been wrapping up the rods behind me. They've all been wrapped up, clipped up, so I know exactly the right distance to exactly the right horizon marker. So let's flip this camera around and show you exactly where I'm fishing to. So just got the rods lead on the deck at the moment, no rigs on them or nothing, literally just the leads on them. So left-hander, that is 6 wraps towards this dip in this tree. 6 wraps out. And that is going down with an absolute thud. That is really clean. I've had a couple of sweep backs with the rod, and yeah, that is clean as you like. No debris or no stickiness or anything. Now middle rod, that is 8 wraps, and where are we? That is going to this point here. That is my horizon marker, this one here. So that is 8 wraps out. So as the owner was saying about this silk gully, it's between 6 and 8 wraps out. So and he said if you find a hard spot, then you'll bang on. So those two are going down absolutely fine, and like I say, I'm covering the 6 wrap distance, and then I'm covering the 8 wrap distance as well. So hopefully if there is anything mooching through, like I say, this gully, then obviously there's going to be 2 rods at 2 varying distances, which hopefully will pick up a fish or 2. Now the third rod, that is that one, that is going out 13 wraps to the dip in this far margin. I do apologise about this wind, it has really picked up in the last half an hour or so. But yeah, 13 wraps straight out to that, and that is going down again with an absolute thud. Now I'm more than happy with all 3 of them rods. Definitely going to put bait over them as well. I'm not just going to fish, you know, just single baits or anything. Probably going to have 2 on bottom baits, a couple of snowmen, and then have 1 on a hinge stiff on that right hander. Sorry, on the middle rod. And yeah, see where we go from there. I've got a few bits and pieces in the on the barrow bait wise. I'm just going to go probably some hemp, some corn, and some 10mm boilies. Got a few other bits and pieces that I'll show you a little bit later on as well. But in the meantime, let's get these sticks in. Let's get the spawn rod and stuff set up. Just going to probably put two spawns over each rod to start with, see what happens, and go from there, see how the weekend materializes. But yeah, but for now I'm happy that I found them spots. That was the most important thing before setting up anything else, is getting them rods spot on, finding a spot that I'm happy with, finding the horizon marker. So obviously if I'm lucky enough to have a fish in the night, or you know, through the hours of darkness, then you know, I'm good to get that back out on the money. So yeah, a few practice casts there, all sorted. Time to get this lot all sorted out as well, and we can get rocking and rolling. So I'll catch up with you in a little while. Right then, so as part of the fishery rules, basically you don't need to bring your landing net, your mat, or any slings. That's all supplied at Bramble Mere. So when you arrive, you can just grab one on your way through with the rest of your kit. So yeah, there's nets, slings, and mats all supplied. So yeah, leave all that gear at home. And like most of these sort of private exclusive lake fisheries, that's all supplied, obviously to eliminate diseases or anything like that. So yeah, leave all that at home, guys, and come and grab yourself one out of the little hut. Right, so everything's ready to rock and roll then. So obviously rods are all wrapped up, rigs are made, baited, ready to rock and roll. So yeah, literally before I go and stick these on the rods and get them out, just want to talk you through what rigs I'm going to be using for this session. Now I'm going to use 2 types of rigs mainly. So first one being, this is going to go on the right hand rod, so the 13 wrap spot and the 6 wrap spot. The 2 of the 3 firmest areas that I've found. I'm going to use, as always, the trusted Slip D rig. Mounted on the end is a Bait Tech Triple N wafter. This is just going to sit flush along the lake bed, and that's just going to hover around the top of the hook there, and that's tied, like I say, Slip D style. It's around 6-7 inches in length, with a little bit of strip back of the coating on the braid there, coated braid, a little bit stripped back just to allow for a little bit of free movement, and a little bit of putty just to pin that all down when that's kicked away. So that's the like I say, going to be the outside 2 rods, and the middle rod is going to be a hinge stiff rig. So the hinge stiff is a size 8 ready-made quarter choddy, again tied to 6-7 inches of semi-stiff end trap, 20 pound. Use it all the time. It's got enough stiffness about it to kick that away, but not too stiff where it's going to, you know, just stick into anything and sit upright. It's a real supple coated braid, but with such, like I say, with the semi-stiff qualities, that's just got enough to push any hook bait away from your lead. Now, like I say, that's tied to a ready-made quarter choddy, size 8, and on this one we're going to be using a fluoro, what we got? Fluoro Superfruit Bait Tech pop-up. Now that's a yellow one because I'm going to be using a bit of corn on this session, corn and hemp and 10 millers. Now I'm going to give each spot, like I say, 2 or 3 spoms just to see me through the first day really, and see what happens, see what they, you know, see if they fancy it or not, but nothing too crazy. Obviously there's hemp and corn in the mix, so this bright yellow pop-up is going to be obviously sat amongst it and off the lake bed, so obviously covering 2 different tactics with the 2 different types of rig, and like I say, this is perfect then for sitting over that hemp and corn. So yeah, that's the Superfruit pop-ups, high vis yellow one. There is pink and white in there as well, but obviously I've opted for the yellow on this one. And like I say, on the other rod I was going to use the Triple M wafters. Obviously they're nutty, real sort of, you know, pale washed out colour, mimics the 10 millers that I've got in the mix as well, obviously just slightly larger in the 15 mils. But yeah, they're my rigs and baits of choice. Obviously you're just going to see myself through the sort of first 24 hours, see what happens, if anything materialises, can chop and change. Got a couple of days on the bank, so really want to make the most of it. But yeah, that's going to be my my tactics, like I say, for the first 24 hours, and then we can see what materialises and happens from there. So it's about time I get these rigs on the rod, get them out, and then think about sticking some bait over the top. As I mentioned just before putting the rods out, I'm going to put a little bit of bait out this session. Now nothing too crazy, you know, not loads, but just something just to get them rooting around. Like I say, if I fish in that little gully, everything naturally is just going to end up in there, where obviously, you know, with it being slightly deeper, everything's going to get pushed down into that little gully. So what I want is just a few bits and pieces just to keep them sort of digging around if and when they do turn up in the area, and obviously something to mimic that yellow pop-up that's also out there on that hinge stiff. So what I'm opting for is just a real basic mix. It's just going to be more kind of attraction and sort of liquids, with a little bit of food items involved. Nothing too mental, nothing too crazy. So yeah, what I'm going to start with is good old tried and trusted sweet corn. Now obviously this is in the can, it's just natural, not flavoured or anything, but it's absolutely oozing with juice, so you don't want to waste any of that juice, because again, that brings out all the liquid attraction, and that's the stuff that's going to obviously draw fish into the area and give off all those food signals. So juice as well, all that goes into the bucket. I'm just going to use 1 tin. Nothing, like I say, I've got extra with me, so if I do need to use any more, you know, if it does kick off or do get a few fish and I need to top up the spot, the beauty about these tins is that you can carry them with you, and they're ring pull on the top, so you can crack them open as and when you need them. Now next, base to any of my spod mixes really, is good old tried and trusted hemp. As like I say, there's a lot of fish that swims that doesn't eat this stuff, and I always opt for the chili hemp just because I like the kick of, like I say, the chili in it, and you can really see the juices packed into this hemp. Now like I say, this is tinned again, ring pull on it, you can just take them with you, leave them in the back of the car, the van, crack them open whenever you need them. So I'm just going to probably put about half a tin of this, because it is quite a big one, this one, so I'm just going to keep half back just in case anything does happen. So half a tin of this into the bucket as well, give that a good mix up. Next, Triple M boilies, 10 millers, not massive, easy to digest, easy to pick up, and like I say, on the smaller side as well. Again, just a couple of handfuls of these. I don't really want many of them on these two closer in spots, if I'm honest. So a couple of handfuls of them have gone in the mix as well. Now what I want to do is obviously bind all this together, because if I'm putting that in the spom, then that ain't going to go anywhere, because all the juice is just going to drip out over back of my shoulder, and it's just going to be, you know, all the liquid attraction is going to be on the bank behind me and not out on the spot. So I'm going to opt to use the F1 Groundbait mix. Now it's full of kind of crushed expander pellets, it's got a sweet smell to it, and it's predominantly for like the sort of commercial lakes, etc., to build a fast feeding response. So what I'm going to do is bang some of this in the bucket until those juices are kind of soaked up all in this ground bait. And what that'll help as well is get everything down to the bottom and create a nice little carpet over these two spots, like I say, in this gully. So I'm going to add this gently until I feel like I've got the right consistency and that liquid's really been soaked up. Beauty of using like ground baits and stick mixes is that you're not losing any of that juice contained within those tins of bait, because that's the last thing you want really, is losing all of that goodness, all of those oils, and everything else is packed into those tins. So that's nearly there, maybe just a little bit more. Just want it a little bit firmer, just so it gets down to the bottom, carries everything down to the bottom, as well as those juices, like I say, in the tin. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's looking much better now. And last but not least, one little tip that I've picked up along the way recently is not CSL. I've just used the bucket, used the bottle, because I've used up all of this product. It's actually corn inside here that's been liquidized down into a liquid with a little bit of water in it as well, just to loosen it up. So rather than it being like a paste, I've just put a little bit of water in the blender with tins of sweet corn, and that's, like I say, created a sort of creamed corn really. It's a liquid version of the sweet corn. Now I'm going to give this a good glug in there, because obviously that's full of the sweetness of the sweet corn, all those, like I say, all those juices, etc. So I'm going to give this a good glug in the bucket as well. And yeah, it looks like baby sick, but I can tell you what, I bet this looks absolutely amazing down on that lake bed. Cloudy, creamy, sweet, and again, matching and mimicking that hook bait, and obviously the corn in the mix as well, but just a liquefied version. There we go, that's looking amazing. Just give that another little top up of this liquid, and that is pretty much ready to rock and roll. I'm going to give this a good sort of 3 or 4 spoms over each spot, and that'll just keep then for the rest of this weekend. Obviously as it sits in the bucket, that's just going to soak into that ground bait more and more. Have a look at that. Now tell me that doesn't look like a carpy winter mix. Nothing too crazy in there, nothing too filling. Majority of it is ground bait and liquids with a little bit of hemp and corn in there. So I think it's time to get the spom out, stick a few out, sit back and see if we can make anything happen. Right, so that's all 3 rods gone out, 1 cast per rod, all went bang on, went down with a nice firm drop on each one, and each rod's had 3 spoms of bait, so they've got a little bit to grub around on if anything comes in any of the free spots. But yeah, nothing, I've not seen anything yet this morning, but it's not to say they're not getting around. So I'm confident in the spots, they're all fishing, they're all so clean. And like I say, there's bait amongst them all, so it's just a matter of waiting now, sitting back and waiting and seeing if anything does come into the area. This wind has picked up quite a bit. It's got a little bit breezier as the day's gone on, so I'm hoping you can hear me properly. Like I say, the rods, they are out, and home is also set up. It's just tilted at an angle just to cut that breeze off from coming into the brolly, just so there's a little bit of protection against, like I say, this breeze, because it is rather nippy. It is meant to swing around a little bit tomorrow and push in the opposite direction, more down to my right, so I'll be a little bit more out the way of that tomorrow. But yeah, I'm feeling confident. It's such a beautiful day, Such a beautiful sunshine, freezing cold mind you, but yeah, I'm out and I'm fishing and I'm doing my first 48 of the year, so fingers crossed we can manage to just nick one. That's all I want. I really don't care how big, how small, just want to nick a fish this weekend and I'll be over the moon with that. But I believe there's a couple of hundred fish in here, 13 of them are commons, so my chances are, if I am lucky to nick a fish, it'll be a common, because for some reason I just seem to attract commons. In a lake full of mirrors, I'll probably be the one, if I'm lucky enough to nick a fish. Like I say, I can guarantee you it'll be a common. So yeah, let's kick back for a couple of hours, get the brolly sorted out, get a brew on the go because I'm absolutely gagging, a couple of hobnobs, and I'll catch up with you a little bit later on in the day, or as and when anything occurs. Calm, that wind's just died off completely, so it's about, I don't know, 4:45 now, so maybe got half an hour, 45 minutes of light left, and yeah, not actually seen anything yet, not seen any shows. No one else has had anything. I think Brian opposite me, one of the party on the other bank down this end, he's had a couple of occurrences, some real sharp savage takes. Now not sure if there's a fish trailing or whether it could be sort of pike up in the margins, but yeah, that's about all that's happened so far. But as you can see, don't know if you can make it out, but there you go, that wind's died off and that cloud cover is starting to come over, and already I can feel the difference in temperature. It already feels like 10 degrees warmer just from that wind doing one and that cloud cover coming over, so who knows, that little slight difference in change in temperature might just you know, do us a favour and spur a fish one or two to feed. But the rods are still out, they're going to stay out till, like, I don't know, tomorrow dinner time at least. They've all gone out fine, and there's no reason to touch them. I have had a couple of coots dive on my left-hander, but there should be enough bait down there to warrant not topping up or putting any more out at the moment. So yeah, here's hoping for a fish in the night really. But it's a beautiful evening, flat calm, and probably get some grub on the go shortly, but just wanted to give you a real quick update, to be fair. So fingers crossed for a fish through the night, and if so, then obviously I'll get the camera out and show you what's been happening. But if not, I will catch up with you guys in the morning and give you any sort of rundown as to what might have occurred around the lake throughout the night. So I'll hopefully speak to you guys in the night. If not, I'll catch up with you in the morning. So good morning everybody. It's a little after 8 o'clock, and yeah, unfortunately nothing to report through the night. As you can see, still under the brolly because yeah, we are due some rain throughout most of today. This morning being heavier than this afternoon, so what I'm going to do is probably just see it out this morning, because obviously yesterday the rods wouldn't have been out at this time, they wouldn't have been out, you know, until later on in the morning, so I'm going to leave them out until midday at least, and then decide what my plan of attack is. I'm thinking probably just switch up the hook baits, give them fresh hook bait, maybe a change in colour on the hinge stiff, stuff like that. But I've got a few hours to decide what I want to do yet anyway. But had a few texts from a few of the guys around the lake this morning. Nothing else seems to have happened around the lake, so I'm not the only one in the blanking boat at the moment. But yeah, I've been up and down sort of throughout the night, and not seen or heard anything either. It's been dead quiet. Didn't feel as cold last night as I thought it was going to be, and it certainly isn't as cold this morning as it was yesterday. There's no wind, the sun's obviously disappeared because there's a lot of cloud cover with this rain. So yeah, kind of feeling more hopeful of a bite today than I was yesterday, just because the conditions feel far more, you know, on my side and in my favour rather than not. But I'll just quickly fling the camera around anyway. It looks like the rain has eased off a little bit for the time being, but I have been brolly bound since first light this morning. So yeah, rods are still out, not a single beep or anything on those at the moment. But yeah, it's all flat, calm, no wind. Excuse me. And yeah, nothing to show or report at the moment. Obviously opportunities like this where you know, the rain has subsided and does stop, I will get out the brolly and just make the most of being able to you know, look at the water and see if I can see any signs of fish, if it gives me an idea of where they might be, or a chance of obviously moving the rod onto them. So what I'm going to do, just grab this coffee, first one of the day. It's been a long time coming already, and just slip the wellies on and just go and stand out and just watch the water, see if I can see any signs of any activity at all that might give themselves away and might put a fish in my favour. But yeah, nothing to report through the night. Fingers crossed we can maybe stick one on the mat today for the video, but we'll see how it goes anyway. But for now I'm going to neck this, get the wellies on, have a little look over the lake, see if I can see anything, and I'll come back to you throughout the morning with any sort of updates. So for this session, and like most of all of my sessions, I'm using the Corda lead clip session pack. So this involves maybe like a foot and a half of tubing down to a lead clip sleeve, in which the lead clip slips inside the sleeve and keeps your lead from ejecting. Now this is a 2.5 ounce flat pair, which is more than enough for what I need at the distances that I'm fishing. Now I'm fishing 6 wraps, 8 wraps and 13 wraps, and a lead like this will easily make those distances, as well as just sitting flush along the lake bed. Now threaded inside the tubing, and obviously the lead clip and sleeve itself, is a quick link swivel. Now these fit and pull in flush inside the lead clip itself and allow you to hook your rig onto the swivel itself and slide an anti-tangle sleeve over the top. This will allow you for quick changing of rigs or tactics, and also give you that kick away properties when you slide an anti-tangle sleeve over the end of the swivel. That'll give you the kick away properties of your rig when you're casting out into the lake. Let's have a closer look at the rigs, the damage that those crays caused, and what I'm going to do to hopefully combat that over the next 24 hours. So then, as I mentioned, at some point within the last 24 hours I received no indication that the crays were on me. Now reeling in this morning a little after 10 o'clock, my rig said otherwise. So starting with the putty, they've had a good go on that. They love a bit of putty or tungsten tubing or anything along those lines. They can't help but get involved in trying to strip that from even the lead from your lead core, I believe they have a go at. So telltale sign that if your putty's going missing or anything like that, telltale sign that the crays are on you. But also another one is literally being left with no bait. So there we go. Rig, floss absolutely annihilated, wafter completely gone. Now like I say, I've received no indications. Usually you might get continual liners, or you know, single bleeps on your rod. It may even pull your line up tight depending on how big some of these crays are, but yeah, I had none of that. So as far as I was aware, I put enough bait out to you know, warrant a fish, and hopefully if there were any crays in the area, then I was hoping that obviously they would be it would take them a lot longer to get on my bait rather than, you know, picking it straight out as if it was a single. So what am I going to do to combat that over the next 24 hours? I'll go through now. So lucky for me, Bait Tech do a range of hard hookers. Now these ones are the dumbbell shaped, they're 18mm, and they are rock hard. You really have to push a needle through these to even get, like I say, get a needle through it. You really have to give it a good old push. So these have been soaking in hemp oil for a good couple of weeks. They haven't softened in any shape or form, so these are rock hard. Now hoping that these are going to take a little while longer if at all the crays will be able to you know, whittle them down. So I'm hoping with the, you know, the sheer strength of these ones, they're going to last out in the lake and not get whittled down or whittled away, leaving me with no bait on over the next 24 hours. So gonna stick with the same rig, slip D rig. This one's got a slightly larger hook, but as there, one hard hooker mounted on that. No you know, bait stop or anything like that on there. That's literally just flush, bait floss through the middle, flush, pushes tight against that as possible, so there's no little edges or anything like that they can try and nick you know, nick the floss off and peel it off and stuff like that. So that's all been pushed down tight. So just going to fish that, no fluoro tipper on it, because if, you know, if that's on there, then no doubt that'll get whittled away and pulled away, and then they can start making their way through with, you know, pulling out the bait floss and whatever. So, you know, same length rig, you know, 6 inches, stripped down at the end by the hook, bit of putty. Don't know how long that's going to last, but I ain't that bothered about the putty really, to be fair. I'm more interested in this bait staying on. And then again, slide slip D style on the rig itself. Right then, so it's just coming up to around, I don't know, about 7 o'clock, and it's been a pretty non-eventful day, to be honest with you. Not a lot's happened at all around the lake. Again, not seen a single show, not had any indications that the fish are moving around. Yeah, just rain and more rain, to be quite honest with you. Been pretty much brolly bound off and on throughout most of the day. Obviously all the rods have gone back out after sorting out rigs and stuff like that, due to obviously being crayed on that closest rod in. So obviously, as you would have seen earlier, just made a little change on the bait front, put a few more spoms of bait out than I normally would, just to hopefully combat them getting on any of those too shorter rods. But yeah, just kind of hoping really for a nighttime bite now, if I'm honest with you. Like I say, it is around 7 o'clock, it is pretty much dark now. The rain, I think, is now sort of subsided for the night, so it should be a dry night. It's flat calm, dead quiet, and just going to lay in the sack and stay warm, and really just see if I can listen for any signs of fish activity. I was kind of listening last night off and on as I was waking up and stuff like that, just to see if I could hear anything really throughout the night. And again, like I say, last night didn't hear anything either. So yeah, a bit of a non-eventful day. It has gone really fast for such, you know, for lack of activity, but yeah, once the rods are in the water, obviously there's always a chance. So just going to keep everything crossed that I can maybe nick one through the night, or maybe obviously in the morning. Not quite sure yet how long I'm going to stay for. Maybe till around sort of midday, just to get everything dried off really, and rather than having to pack everything away wet. So yeah, got a little while yet before we have to pack up and go. So hopefully, you never know, might be able to nick one in the hours of darkness, if not through the morning. So obviously, if anything happens through the night, you'll be the first to know about it. The camera will be out, and obviously get some bits and pieces on film. So let's keep everything crossed for just a fish through the night, but if not, then I'll catch up with you in the morning. Good morning. So Sunday morning, and as you can tell, it is pretty fresh. The wind has swung round this morning, real cold, brisk northeasterly wind, and yeah, it's making doing anything absolutely freezing. I've just whipped in my left hander because I had a couple of bleeps through the night. Just wanted to see if those hard hookers really stood up to the test of obviously the cray's attention down in this corner, and yeah, it's safe to say that they're 100% intact. So yeah, those triple N hard hookers, 100% happy with those. They are it was untouched and just as hard as it was when I very first put it on. So 100% completely yeah, happy that they've not been annihilated through the night. So I've also just put the last little bit of boilie crumb that I had left over each rod, just 2 spoms, just a fresh introduction of a little bit of smell, you know, and little bits and pieces, just to see me through the next few hours really, because yeah, I'm not quite sure how much longer I'm going to sit it out, if I'm honest. Nothing, like I say, nothing's happened through the night. No one's had a fish over the course of the weekend that I'm aware of, and yeah, certainly nothing happened last night. But like I say, that wind has swung round this morning, and it is like I say, on the nippy side, to say the least. My hands were absolutely freezing after putting those couple of spoms worth of boilie crumb out, so I had to just get another brew on the go, warm my hands up, and then decide I'll quickly whip the camera out and give you guys a bit of an update really. Yeah, not really too sure what to say. It just seems like obviously the whole lake has just been on shutdown really. Like I say, no one's had any luck throughout the weekend. Yeah, a bit of a no-show, if I'm honest. I would have been happy with 1 fish, but that's just the way it goes, isn't it? You know, you can't win them all. But there's still time yet. I will milk it up until when I'm decide, like I say, that I want to go sometime possibly between 11 and 12. Just going to do a bit of a slow pack down really, so the rods will be the last thing to go away. Got a bit of cleaning up and stuff to do because we did have that rain yesterday, so everything's a little bit covered in mud and splashback and whatever else. So let's leave it there. The battery's slowly starting to drain on the camera as well. I think the cold's got into the batteries on this, so not going to milk it for too long. But yeah, that's the update really, nothing to report. Quiet all round, and it's absolutely freezing in the face of this wind. So let's get another brew on the go, see the next few hours out, get everything packed down slowly, and keep everything crossed that we can nick a fish in the dying moments of the morning. So I'll catch up with you guys just before I decide to leave. Right then, so that's 99% of the gear all packed up on the barrow, and the last remaining 1%, the most important percent, still out on the deck. Whilst the rods are still out, there's always a chance of still nicking a fish. So until everything else is completely packed up, they're staying put. They're led on the deck, spools are nice and loosened off, so if I'm lucky enough to nick a fish in the last, I don't know, half an hour or so, then one of them spools will hopefully go spinning. But wind's picked up, it's changed to a northeasterly as I mentioned this morning, and it's absolutely freezing. Now I have been for a little walk up here off the back of this wind where the sun is penetrating most of the water, and took the glasses with me, just climbed up a couple of trees just to get a better look down, and I can't see a single thing. There's no life of fish down there. You know, I thought with it being off the back of this cold wind and obviously seeing the most of the sun, I thought maybe 1 or 2 might be in there just warming themselves up. But yeah, like I say, I've climbed up a couple of trees, had a little look in there for a good half an hour or so this morning whilst the sun was beating in there, and I haven't seen a single fish. So yeah, as you can see, the sky is blue, it's rather choppy, and yeah, like I say, it is pretty fresh. But just going to leave these rods on the deck for now until, like I say, just get the last little bits on top of the barrow, and then I'll be whipping them in. But yeah, unfortunately it's not been a good session for me. Obviously I knew it was going to be hard anyway, because it being February, being winter, most places are on shutdown, and the conditions weren't the best this weekend anyway. But like I say, whilst the rods were in the water, there was always going to be a chance of a fish. So as normal, thanks for watching the video. Hope it gives you a little insight to the fishery itself. Go check out their website. I'll put sort of details below in the description field, so if you want to have a look at the venue itself and some of the pretty fish that I haven't managed to catch this session that are in here, you can go and have a look on the gallery and stuff like that, and obviously inquire about future bookings for yourself. But for now, if anything like a miracle does happen within the next sort of half an hour or so, then I'll be certain to get the camera back on. But yeah, as always, thanks for watching the video. Leave any comments or anything you want to know down in the, like I say, in the comments box. Ask me anything about the fishery, or if you want any further information. But yeah, as always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. Come check me out on Facebook if you want a carpy chit chat. And yeah, don't forget about my live streams every Tuesday. So yeah, again, thanks for watching, guys. Sorry I couldn't manage to winkle one out on my first visit to the venue. But it will be certainly somewhere I come back to in the better conditions, because I do really like the look of the venue, and it is somewhere local to me as well, and somewhere that I'll definitely be looking to get a party of us booked onto when that weather certainly picks up, because like I say, there are some amazing, stunning creatures to be had in here. So from me, thanks again for watching, and I'll catch up with you guys sometime soon. Thanks again, guys.